Today, we are going to discuss a medieval philosopher of India, Basaveshwara. He was a social reformer, he was a social and political philosopher, and he was a man behind so many reforms in medieval society, particularly the South Indian society. So Basava was a social philosopher and a political philosopher. He strived for establishing gender equality in the society. He was opposing the caste division of society, and he was equally opposing economic exploitation in the society. So he has chosen religion as a tool to propagate his social and political ideas and wanted to establish a democratic society. So in the process, he has given so many ideas. One of the important ideas of Basava is the concept of Anubhava Mandapa, and his concept of gender equality. So these are the two important aspects that we are going to acquaint with today. Basava is a medieval philosopher. He belongs to 12th century AD, and Basava was a South Indian philosopher born in Karnataka. And during his times, the caste system was very rampant in Indian society. And there was also religious orthodoxy in the society, which prompted social evils like sati, child marriages, untouchability, and various other things. So he wanted to bring a reform in the society with his political and social ideas. And he is not only a philosopher by himself, at a very high rate academic philosopher, but he is also a very effective social reformer. He is also an activist. He is a theoretician and also an activist. He is a philosopher as well as an activist by himself. So Basava is a medieval philosopher, and he belongs to 12th century AD. As we all know, the medieval societies throughout the world, may it be European societies, Asian societies, or in particular Indian society, or the West Asian societies, any society of Middle East nature or Middle Ages are religious societies, and they were having the blind faiths, and they were also having the irrational faiths among the people. So that's why they are quite often referred to as dark societies, dark ages. So Basava belongs to 12th century AD, and in that dark society, Basava wanted to bring a light to the civilizational values, and he wanted to reform the society with modern democratic and liberal values. So when liberalism and democracy were not at all blossomed outside Karnataka and any other part of India during 12th century AD, Basava tried to establish and sow the seeds of democracy in his own kingdom. So Basava belonged to 12th century AD. And Basava's philosophy includes the social ideas, political ideas, and economic ideas. He is not only a political philosopher, he also has such an important and effective social ideas and political ideas. So this is how Basava's philosophy is a conglomeration of religious, social, economic, and political ideas. Of course, we have separated these ideas, and in today's class, we'll be discussing mostly the social and political ideas. Medieval societies were often referred as dark societies, dark age societies with the blind faiths. There was irrational thinking, there was culture of silence among the people, and people were obedient to the caste system, and people were enslaving themselves to the upper caste in the Indian society. So that's why these medieval societies in general in the world and in India in particular are considered as dark age societies with people having blind faiths and irrational attitudes and irrational values. So that's why very often medieval societies are referred to as darkest societies with the blind faiths. Basava brought social reforms in society with his Virasaiva philosophy. He has established a religion by himself that's called the Virashaivism. So through Virashaivism, Basava wanted to bring social reform and in the Indian society, particularly the South Indian society of Karnataka. And this Virashaiva society has also brought the Lingayat cult, the Lingayat and Vakalinga cult in the Indian society, particularly the South Indian society. And with this religious moorings and with this religious orientation, Basava tried to bring social reforms in the society. And Basava fought against untouchability. As there are so many social reforms, social evils in the prevailing society, untouchability is one which endangers the lives of the people sometimes, and which stands as a hurdle for the human progress. That's why Basava preferred to fight against untouchability in his philosophical ideas and also in his activism. So among the institutions that he has made and also referred or suggested is Anubhava Mandapa. Anubhava Mandapa is a regular institution. It's an institution like Buddhist Sangha. It's also a voluntary organization, and everybody can join and anybody can join. Only thing is the member has to adhere to the values of the Virashaivism and the objectives of Anubhava Mandapa. Anubhava Mandapa is a voluntary organization that strives for bringing social equality in the society. So Anubhava Mandapa is a new concept given by Basava in 12th century AD. Basava advocated gender equality. Basava was opposing to patriarchal dominance, the male domination in the society, and he has suggested gender equality for the progress of any society. That's why men-women equality is preferable and inevitable for the progress of any society. And that's why Basava advocated a gender equality. In today's lesson, we'll have a lesson plan. First of all, we'll be discussing about Basava's life and times and contemporary times of Basava in the first line. After that, we'll be discussing about Basava's political philosophical ideas like Anubhava Mandapa, and what are the books that he has written, and what are the commentaries that are written on Basava's philosophy. So this is what are the different sources through which the Basava's political ideas and philosophical ideas can be drawn. So this is an important aspect. The second aspect is the sources of Basava's philosophical ideas. And thirdly, Basava was belonging to the medieval society. As we all know, medieval societies are considered as and very often referred to as dark societies, and they have certain unique features. Though these societies are hindrance to the progress of modern societies or the progress of the civilization as such, these societies have certain unique features like existence of feudalism in these societies, economic exploitation, social cleavages, religious orthodoxy. These are some of the features of the medieval societies. We'll be discussing the context in which Basava's philosophy can be understood. So that is the context where the medieval societies have thrown so many social evils, and those social evils required some reform from a historical necessity in the form of Basava. So Basava philosophy contains the philosophical ideas that wanted to reform the society as such and establish a social equality, economic equality, and gender equality with the freedom without any slavery. So this is how medieval societies and their features are also to be understood before understanding Basava's philosophical ideas. And Basava's political ideas, there are so many ideas, but among them, there are four important ideas. One is the Anubhava Mantapavada, or the Anubhava Mantapa, the concept of Anubhava Mantapa. And the second one is Kayaka and Dasoha. Kayaka and Dasoha. In fact, these two ideas are political and economic ideas. That's why they are called as political economy ideas. Kayaka makes the people to work hard, and Dasoha expects a kind of law obedience and obedience to the state, adherence to the law and state, the dictates of the state is called Dasoha. So Kayaka and Dasoha, they are both economic ideas and also political ideas. So in course of citizens' law obedience, Dasoha provides the state the much required citizens' obedience and adherence to law in the form of Dasoha, the concept of Dasoha. And Kayaka promotes productivity in the society, and it provides hardworking nature, and it advocates hardworking nature among the people, and it encourages the people to have the productive way of life, or the way of life that brings us prosperous productivity. So this is how it is a material philosophy in which the Kayaka and Dasoha makes the state prosperous with productive nature and also obedient nature. And thirdly, Basava's political ideas include democracy and equality. In fact, the very idea of Anubhava Mandapa itself is a democratic idea. And an institution like Anubhava Mandapa, where everybody can join in a voluntary organization like Anubhava Mandapa for the reformation of the society and for expressing his own ideas in a very free and fair manner. So the seeds of democracy are shown in Basava's Anubhava Mantapavada. So here again, Basava has advocated democracy and equality in the society. And likewise, he has also discussed about freedom and slavery. In fact, freedom and slavery is quite antagonistic ideas, one against each other. They are mutually exclusive and mutually against each other. Wherever slavery is there, freedom is not there. Freedom is there, slavery is not there. So he advocates a society without slavery and a society with freedom. So this is also an important as political idea of Basava. And after that, we'll be discussing about the very crux of the lesson, that is Basava's Anubhava Mantapavada, and in which how an Anubhava Mantapa as an institution or a voluntary organization takes its formation and what are its nature. So what are the purpose of its evolution and what are the purposes, objectives and functions. Basava's Anubhava Mantapavada's objectives and functions are also to be discussed. So after that, we'll make a critical evaluation of the whole lesson. So Basava's Anubhava Mantapa, the formation and nature are to be discussed. After that, Basava's Anubhava Mantapa's objectives and functions are also to be discussed. Later, we'll make a critical evaluation of all the social, political, economic, cultural, and religious ideas of Basava. So we'll go by Basava's life and times. As we all know, Basava belonged to 12th century AD. He belongs to the medieval times. In fact, the medieval times began from 7th century to 13th century. The 7th century to 13th century is considered as the medieval period, the human history. Likewise, in Indian history also, the 7th century to 13th century, some people say till the advent of Britishers is called as the medieval times. And Basava's life started in 1131 and ended in 1196. And he was born in Ingaleshwara Bagewadi, present is in Bijapur district of Karnataka. So he belongs to Karnataka and he was a minister in the Kalyani Chalukya's kingdom. So he is a well-read man, he is an educated person, And more so, he's a social reformer. He wanted to reform the society with his new and unique social and political ideas. So he was born in Ingaleshwara, Bagewadi, that's presently is in Bijapur district of Karnataka. And he has worked in Kalyani Chanakya's court as a minister. And in fact, he belongs to 12th century AD. And 12th century AD is known for having more philosophers in his contemporary society, particularly the South Karnataka Society, South Indian Society of Karnataka. Allam Prabhu, Siddharama, Channabaswana, Akka Mahadevi, Devara Dashmaya, and so many other philosophers were born in 12th century AD. In fact, 12th century AD is considered as a very enlightened century in South Indian history, because in 12th century AD, so many philosophers were born and they tried to enliven themselves with these new political and social ideas and wanted to bring social reform in the society. Allam Prabhu, Siddharama, Channabaswana, Akka Mahadevi, Devara Dashmaya, and so many others. So these philosophers are contemporaries to Basaveshwara. And these philosophers were born in 12th century BC. While we are discussing about Gautama Buddha in 6th century BC, we could also make a parallel between Buddhism and Confucius philosophy in China. So during the same century, the 6th century BC, when Buddha was born in India, Confucius in China, Pythagoras in Greece, Julian Jelmia in Hebron, and various other philosophers were born in the same century. So sometimes in the same century, many philosophers take their path. Likewise, in 12th century AD, more philosophers such as Allam Prabhu, Siddharama, Channabaswana, Akka Mahadevi, Devara Dashmaya, these are all the contemporaries of Basaveshwara. So these philosophers have tried to reform the South Indian society. And Basava's social and political ideas were modern. Though he was born in ancient medieval India, his ideas were very modern. He wanted to bring democracy in 12th century AD itself. And he wanted to build an egalitarian society with social equality, economic equality, cultural equality among the people. And he has envisioned a society without patriarchal dominance and with gender equality. And he has also dreamt of a society without caste system and untouchability. So this is how Basava's social and political ideas were very much modern, and though Basava himself belongs to the medieval period, his ideas were modern. In course of time, these ideas have taken birth in Indian soil, and today we'll have the fruits of these ideas. So this is how Basava's social and political ideas were modern, though Basava himself is born in medieval society. If you look at the contemporary conditions where he lived, in his contemporary conditions, there were social divisions. In fact, Indian society, right from Kashmir to Kanyakumari, we see social divisions in the society. The Chaturvarna system, Brahmin, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, these are all the social divisions. And the caste system has further divided the people. And there is also sub-caste system. So this is how there is social divisions in the Indian society. And there is also religious orthodoxy. Religious orthodoxy was also there when Basava was there. And the Brahminical traditions have not allowed the other sections of the society to have the spiritual education or any other type of spiritual engagement. So this is how there is a lot of religious orthodoxy that was there. And this religious orthodoxy have prevented the Bahujans and Dalit Bahujans and other classes of the society from having an advantage of the ancient Oriental values of Indian society and religious texts and knowing of religious text with the facility of education. So during the contemporary society of Basava, that is the 12th century BC, 12th century AD, the society was with social divisions, religious orthodoxy, economic exploitation. There is a lot of economic exploitation because the whole society was divided into land gentries, and there are people with thousands of acres of land owning classes, landlords, knights, and nobles. Of course, the names are changed in Indian context, but all the European names are in one form or the other are also prevalent in Indian society. And this is also facilitated the much exploitative nature. There is also economic exploitation in the Indian society. In the hands of the upper and prosperous classes, all the downtrodden sections were exploited. So this is how the economic exploitation was also very rampant in the medieval society. And the social respect and dignity was only on the basis of land owning nature. If a person owns so much of land, his dignity, honor, and self-respect in the society is also very high. So that's how the dignity and self-respect, dignity and honor of a person is linked to the land owning pattern in the society. So that's how there are economic divisions, cleavages in the society. And further, there is also parallel cultures. The existence of parallel cultures. One is the culture of the prosperous people, the wealthier people, the middle class culture, the downtrodden culture. There are parallel cultures that were prevalent in contemporary society of Basava. And after that, we'll be discussing about the sources of Basava's ideas. Basava himself has written so many books in which he has condemned the caste system, untouchability, other social evils, and he has propagated the ideas of social reform. And Basava's writings include Shashtala Vachana, Kalagyana Vachana, Mantra Gopya Vachana, Jnana Vachana, Raja Yoga Vachana. So these are the Panchavachanas. Panchavachanas means 5 narrations, in which the first one is Shatsthala Vachana. The second one is Kalagyana Vachana. The third one is Mantra Gopya Vachana. The fourth one is Jnana Vachana. And the fifth one is Raja Yoga Vachana. And these are the books that are written by Basava by himself. And there are also certain commentaries on Basava's writings. The Lord of the Meeting Rivers is one book. It's a translation of Basava's Psalms. And after that, another important English philosopher, Arthur Miles, has written a book on Virashaivism and Basava's philosophy that's called The Land of Lingam. The Land of Lingam is a great book written by Arthur Miles. And in Telugu language, there is one poet, Palkurki Somanatha. He has written the Basava Purana. So Basava Purana is written by Palkurki Somanatha. So these are the books that give us a wide range of understanding about Basava's social ideas, political ideas, and his philosophical concepts. Now let us see the nature of medieval societies when Basava was propagating his social reform. During the medieval societies, as I was telling you in the beginning, the 7th century to 13th century are considered as the medieval period. And in this period, the religious societies, all the societies are religious societies. People have blind faiths in the religion. So there was no reason, but there is only religion. And people are not at all reasonable and rationalistic. And all these societies are with blind faiths. So there is no scientific temper, there is no spirit of inquiry, there is no rationality in attitudes. So all put together, the society has engraved itself in blind faiths. So religious societies with the blind faiths. That's why these societies, particularly the medieval societies, are also quite often referred as dark societies. Dark societies means a society without any innovation, without any discovery, without any innovative nature, likewise. So that's why religious societies with the blind faiths is one of the important features of medieval society in general, Indian medieval society in particular. And secondly, there are social cleavages. There are social divisions. These social divisions are based on the Varna system, the caste system, the gender. So that has brought a lot of conflict in the society. And the society is divided among 4 Varnas: Brahmin, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. So these are the 4 important Varnas in the Varna system. And each Varna again itself is divided into various castes and subcastes. So this is how there is no social cohesion as such. And people are divided either on the basis of the rule of functions or functional division or the social division. So the society was experiencing so many social cleavages or social conflicts or social divisions in the society. That is the second important aspect. And thirdly, there was a lot of gender discrimination and patriarchy in the society. Patriarchy means the male domination. The male domination was very much prevalent in those societies, and there is gender discrimination in these societies. And fourthly, there was economic exploitation. Economic exploitation was also there in these societies. All the poor people have become poorer and poorest, and all the wealthier sections have become wealthier, wealthiest, and much more wealthier. So this is how there was continuous and perennial and perpetual exploitation of upper caste and prosperous sections over the poorer sections. So thus the economic exploitation also brought so much of conflict in the society, and thus pushed the society into much more into dark. So economic exploitation is also another important aspect. This economic exploitation is coupled with the land owning patterns. Almost all the upper caste sections having the land owning rights and having ownership on thousands and hundreds of acres of land on by name. And on the other hand, there is also kind of economic exploitation of upper sections or the prosperous sections and the poorer sections. And fifthly, there were social evils in these societies. So the medieval society suffered from so many social evils: the sati, child marriages, untouchability, Basmani system, Jogini system. So these are some of the social evils that were experienced in the medieval societies. The medieval societies were full of social evils. So the medieval society where Basava was living, the 12th century AD society, also is no exception, and it also suffered from the unique features. The first one is religious societies with the blind faiths, social cleavages, gender discrimination and patriarchy, economic exploitation, and existence of social evils like untouchability, Basmani system, and others. And now let us discuss about Basava's social and political ideas. Among the social and political ideas, Basava has first and foremost idea is Anubhava Mandapavada. Anubhava Mandapa. Anubhava Mandapa concept is a very peculiar concept which can drive parallel to Buddhist Sangha. There is a parallel between Buddhist Sangha and Anubhava Mandapa of Basava. So they both are acting as voluntary organizations to bring social reform in the society. And second one is Kayaka and Dasoha. Kayaka means an idea that motivates the people to do hard work, the physical labor. So that's called Kayaka. And second one is Dasoha. Dasoha means obedience. obedience to the nature, obedience to the king, obedience to the society, obedience to the community, obedience to the state, obedience to law, obedience to religion. So human obedience is considered as a qualification to live in the society. And Basava also propagated Dasoha. And he wanted people to be obedient and they should adhere to the laws of the state, the Raja. So that's why Kayaka and Dasoha are two important concepts that brought productivity and obedience in the society. And thirdly, democracy and equality. Basava has advocated the concept of equality in his writings. In the concept of equality, Basava has seen social equality, gender equality, and economic equality. In fact, equality and democracy are the modern ideas. But Basava has used these ideas during his lifetime, that is in 12th century AD itself. So that's how democracy and equality are two important ideas. And fourthly, freedom and slavery. Freedom and slavery are two more important ideas. And he is opposing vehemently slavery, the system of slavery, or enslaving people by one set of people and the other set of people. And he wanted freedom to all the people, freedom with rights. So this is how freedom and slavery and freedom are two antagonistic ideas. And he opposed slavery and he advocated freedom. So these are four important ideas. Now let us see Anubhava Mantapa is a unique idea of Basava. And this is an institution by itself. It's a voluntary organization. Now let us see how it works and what is its nature. An Anubhava Mantapa is a voluntary organization from grassroots to the macro level, state level. At every level, there is a branch of this voluntary organization at the village level, at mandal level, at district level, at the state level, at the kingdom level. So we see this as a voluntary organization with so many branches. So in every village, every village need to have one Anubhava Mantapa where all the people sit together, they discuss their problems, and there are also people who render justice to the problems of the common people. So if there is any injustice done in the society, this Anubhava Mantapa will translate the injustice into justice, and it provides and it ensures justice to all the people. So it's basically a voluntary organization, and it's also a democratic institution. And thirdly, universality of membership. Anybody can join in Anubhava Mantapa, irrespective of gender, irrespective of caste, irrespective of color of the body, irrespective of the religious beliefs. Anybody can, everybody can join in Anubhava Mantapa. Anubhava Mantapa is a regular institution. It's a voluntary organization. It's a democratic institution with universality of membership. So Basava's Anubhava Mantapa, consisting of even common people with reform vigor and reform nature. He encouraged people to join in Anubhava Mantapa, and he wanted Anubhava Mantapa to act as a reform organization to nullify the social evils and bring a new society based on progress and new civilization values. So this is how it's basically a voluntary organization, and membership of this organization is voluntary and anybody can join. And if anybody has any doubts or opposing any of the objectives of the Anubhava Mantapa, and that member has also had the freedom to leave the organization also at any point of time. So this is how it's a democratic institution, it's a voluntary organization, and it has universality of membership. And the members consisted of the downtrodden people, the middle class people, people from the royal families, people from upper caste, and mostly women are members of this Anubhava Mantapa. So that means there is a kind of a universality of membership is there. Now let us see what are its objectives and functions. Anubhava Mantapa strives for social equality. It's a voluntary organization at the village level, and it has a branch it has a head office, or at a mandal level, at a district level, at the state level, at the kingdom level. So all these Anubhava Mandapas are linked from one step to the other step, and all these organizations act as voluntary associations and strive for social equality. And secondly, Anubhava Mandapa checks against economic exploitation. The members of Anubhava Mandapa always oppose the economic exploitation, and they check if any exploitation is there, if any economic exploitation is there. And they want to reverse the patterns of exploitation to the advantage of the poor people. So that's how it's a check on against the economic exploitation. And thirdly, Anubhava Mandapa advocates gender equality. Gender equality means men-women equality. And it opposes the patriarchal dominance, the male dominance, and it advocates gender equality. So this is how Basava's Anubhava Mandapa has certain defined objectives and functions. The first and foremost objective and function is it should strive for social equality. And second one is it should check against economic exploitation. And thirdly, it's an organization and institution that advocates gender equality. So these are some of the important objectives. And besides these objectives, there are also other objectives, like it fights against untouchability. The Anubhava Mandapa fights against untouchability, and it wanted social equality among the people. And it propagates a rationalist outlook against the blind faiths. So that means all the people are to be educated, and an awareness against the blind faiths is to be brought in every human being, so that human being will be prepared to have the spirit of inquiry and scientific temper, and he should always be in a position to judge the situation. That's called as the rationalist nature. And this rationalist nature brings the people from the culture of silence to culture of consciousness. So it propagates rationalistic outlook against the blind faiths. It opposes to the blind faiths of the society. And particularly, it opposed the faiths that are given by the ritualistic religions and ceremonious religions. That's why it propagates rationalistic outlook against blind faiths, and it also facilitates freedom and debate. All the people are invited to sit in Anubhava Mandapa, either on daily basis or on periodical basis, and people can raise any issue of injustice in Anubhava Mandapa. They can also as well ventilate their problems, and they are assured of getting instant justice at Anubhava Mandapa. So that's why Anubhava Mandapa propagates a rationalistic outlook against blind faiths, and it also facilitates freedom and debate. It provides for freedom and debate, and people are free and people are ready to debate on any issue. So people also have assured of the freedom. So freedom and debate are also important features of this Anubhava Mandapa. Wow. Now we'll make a critical evaluation of the whole philosophy of Basava. Basava has laid down the foundation for a democratic society. Though he belongs to the 12th century BC, he himself is a medieval philosopher, but he has laid down a solid foundation for the prospective democratic societies. In fact, the social reform movements that followed 12th century, in 13th century, or 14th, 15th, and 16th century, 18th century, like we have the Brahma Samaj, Arya Samaj, Satshodak Samaj, Prarthana Samaj. These Samaj movements have strengthened the foundations laid by Basava. So the credit of laying the foundation and sowing the seeds of social reform always goes to Basava. So Basava has made a trial, made an effort, made a sincere effort in evolving a democratic society with the concept of equality and justice, equality and liberty, equality and freedom. So this is how Basava has laid down the foundation for a prospective democratic society in India. And Basava has opposed the patterns of dominance, is opposite to dominance, domination. Wherever domination is existing, there we find slavery. People have to enslave themselves with the domination. So the person who dominates always kills the creativity of the normal people. That's why domination should be condemned to the tooth and nail. That's why Basava also has opposed the patterns of domination among the people. And Basava chooses religion to propagate the social reform. So these are all good points, like Basava laid foundation for a democratic society, is opposed the patterns of domination, and he tried to establish a society with the gender equality and social equality with social justice. These are all good, but one important shortcoming in Basava's philosophy is he chooses religion to propagate social reform. He has established the Veerashaiva cult, and he has also established the Lingayata cult. So these two cults are religious cults, and modern philosophers who want politics to be devoid of religious moorings may be critical of Basava, because Basava has chosen religion to propagate social reform. So wherever religion is there, blind faiths will come again, and people also tend to become culturally silent. So that's why Basava chooses. Basava's choosing religion to propagate social reform met with a lot of criticism by his contemporaries and also the prospective scholars. So Basava chooses religion to propagate his social reform. So these are some of the important aspects. So if you could touch about Anubhava Mantapa. Basava's concept of Anubhava Mantapa is it's a voluntary organization. It's a democratic institution. The universality of membership. The membership in Anubhava Mantapa is the same kind of membership that Buddha has established his Sangha and allowed the people to be members. Likewise, even Basava also has established a voluntary organization and a democratic institution. And it's a regular institution. It's not like an institution fighting for some cause, and once the cause is achieved, the organization automatically will die its natural death. But Anubhava Mantapa is not like that. Anubhava Mantapa is an association with perennial nature. It exists ever and ever. And the problems of humankind come again and again for redressal. And it's a voluntary organization, and it strives to redress the society with egalitarian culture, like equality, liberty, fraternity, justice, and various other social and political ideas. And it's a democratic institution. It's a democratic institution because it facilitates the people to sit together, and it also facilitates the people to have discussion in a very free and fair manner. So that's how it's a combination of liberalism and democratic principles. It's a liberal democratic idea as such. So it has established the institution, and that institution is a democratic institution. In fact, he wanted this institution to be established in every village, and all villages should sit together at some place of the village, the common meeting ground, maybe under a tree or in any closed building or open building. And all the stakeholders also attend the meetings of Anubhava Mantapa, and they raise the issues of liberty and equality and issues relating to economic exploitation and seek redressal. So Anubhava Mantapa is a voluntary organization. It's a democratic institution. And membership in Anubhav Mandapa is universal. Universal means irrespective of caste, irrespective of creed, irrespective of race, irrespective of religion, irrespective of the color of the body, irrespective of the gender. Anybody and everybody, whoever is interested to empirically implement the objectives of Anubhav Mandapa, everybody is welcome. That's why Basava's Anubhav Mandapa is a very conceptually new, and it provides a democratic basis for the society. That's why it's a democratic institution. And there is universality of membership. And everybody can join and anybody can join. Only thing is, all the members have to adhere themselves to the principles of Anubhav Mandapa. And it also strives for social equality, and it checks against social exploitation. And it advocates gender equality. So this is how Anubhav Mandapa is really an organization with unique features. And Anubhav Mandapa has so many objectives and functions. It fights against untouchability. In fact, the medieval societies are filled with the social evils such as untouchability, the Bhogini system, Basvini system, Sati system, child marriage system. So these are some of the social evils that Basava was experiencing in his contemporary society. And he has formed this organization, Anubhav Mandapa, as a pinnacle, as an answer to the already existing problems of Indian society, particularly the problems of South India, where the society is experiencing social cleavages and social divisions based on caste, based on religion, based on varna, based on language. So he is against to the practice of untouchability as such, and he is also propagating the religious outlook, so rationalistic outlook against the blind faiths. So he was a rationalist philosopher by himself, and he wanted all the people to have the spirit of inquiry and scientific culture, and all the people should become rationalists with outlook against the blind faiths. So it propagates rationalist outlook against blind faiths, and it also facilitates freedom and debate. And if we critically analyze Basava's social and political ideas, Basava has laid down a very vibrant foundation, a strong foundation for establishing a democratic society. That's one thing. And he also opposed to the patterns of domination, might be social domination or gender domination or domination of richer classes on poorer classes. So any kind of domination is opposed by Basava. And Basava's Anubhav Mandapa is an organization that strives to establish social equality, gender equality, economic equality, and political equality. So he is opposed to the patterns of domination. Of course, these are all some of the positive points of Anubhav Mandapa, but he chooses religion to propagate social reform. For some people, it is an uncomfortable and insatiable proposition, but Basava has established by himself the Veerashaivism cult, and he wanted people to follow the cult, and people also have taken Veerashaivism, Lingayatism, and Vakalinga culture throughout their lifestyles. So this is how we study about the critical evaluation, and we also need to have Basava in our curriculum, because all along we have been studying about ancient philosophers and modern philosophers. But Basava is a philosopher belonging to 12th century AD, and he has laid down the foundation for a prospective democratic society with equality and justice in the name of Anubhav Mantapa. So Anubhav Mantapa is a very unique idea that Basava has suggested to the civilized world. Thank you, friends. Thank you very much. This is all about Basava's Anubhav Mantapa concept.